Are you buying and selling cryptos on the same laptop that you're using to browse the internet, read your email, and visit social media sites? If so, you're exposing your cryptos to theft. Whenever you're online, you're at risk of getting hacked and having your identity stolen. How would you feel if someone stole all of your cryptos? What would that do to your finances? Guard your cryptos with a safe and secure laptop from CALIX Solutions. Each laptop is set up just for you and your cryptos, and then we walk you through exactly how it works. Don't risk the security of your cryptos. Order a crypto laptop from CALIX Solutions now to secure your crypto future. Learn more at calixsolutions.io.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday, and welcome to the Bitcoin Ben Show. And sorry, Ben is still on the road. He will be here in Sarasota in probably 10 hours or less, so he's making his way. He texted me last night and said, "Hey, Sherpa, can you and Nathan do the show again today?" And I was like, "Sure, you got it, brother." So today you got me, the young calf, and Nathan, the old bull here.
Wonderful. I love the way you put that.
Talking about the generational gap between us. Like, we grew up in different times, and a lot of people are starting to realize that. And so, like, we can have like a great conversation together, like his experiences versus my experiences, and just the differences in how they can connect or what we need to do.
Sure, but I think what I want, we just want to lay out a thesis here that we hope that you will understand, people my age and people your age, and why we have to be involved in this thing called Bitcoin. We just want to prove to you, lay some information out, some truths out there to you, and you just take and do what you want to with it.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about. I was born in the '60s, and you were born in the late '90s, in the late
early
90s.
1990.
Okay, I was born in the early '60s, like maybe '61, and you were born in whatever year you were born.
Yeah.
What is it?
1990. I'm kind of that weird gap with like the what is it? The Gen Zers next after me, the millennials, and what was before me? Baby boomers, or
baby boomers is what we are.
Got it. So But I was like that generation where, like, right when technology is still adopted. Like, you grew up, but there was like no internet, nothing. Like, it came on later on. With me, I grew up in the start of it all.
The crazy piece, I tell people that know a little bit about me. I grew up on a farm in North Carolina. My mother was second youngest of 13. Can you imagine? And think about 12 brothers and sisters she had. They were all married. Most of them worked on the farm. So on any given Sunday, it was a requirement first of all, you had to go to church, and secondly, you had to go to grandma's house for lunch. We would have, at any given time, we'd have 20 or 30 adults there, plus their kids. I mean, there would be 70 or 80 kids there. We actually played football on Sunday. We had 4 or 5 teams we could play with, whatever, baseball. I mean, it was just crazy what I grew up in. So a different era. But some of the differences, I mean, and I'm sure you've seen a rotary phone. But guys, there was those of you old enough to remember this, there was something called a party line. I don't know if you ever heard of this or not.
I'm trying to remember if I do.
No, party line is where you'd pick up your phone, and you might have 5 other families on that same line. So you pick up the phone and see if anybody was talking. If they were, you hang up, and you had to wait. You had to wait. You had to wait till they got off the phone.
So it wasn't like a multi-connected line where like you're all talking at once. It's literally you had to wait your turn.
You had to wait your turn till they hung up, and then you can make your phone call. Of course, we got on the phone, covered the speaker, and we'd listen to what we're saying as kids. So, yeah, interesting. We had black and white TVs. We had radios. We have radios today, but the radios we had back then, you actually had to tune the radio. So if the station was 101.1 and the frequency you on was 101.2, you could still hear it, but it was not clear. So those are some of the things. It's just the technology. I think it's fascinating. And I found this hard to believe until I did research. Do you guys realize that this technology, this one smartphone, this is what the internet says, has over 1 million times the computing power of the computers that it took to take people to the moon? That's insane.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's just say it's 10 times. The fact of the matter is, technology has allowed us to do things we could never dream of. I mean, my dad's favorite show when I was a little boy was Star Trek. And I used to sit there and watch it. I really didn't like Star Trek, but I loved being with my dad. So all the technology they talked about during Star Trek or what they showed, it became real. I wish my dad was alive today to see all that. So you guys grew up at the beginning of the internet.
The phones, like that first iPhone came out when I was a senior in high school. So I even grew up like for my schooling days all the way up to the high school points. Yeah, I didn't even have a smartphone at the time. It was still a flip phone. Those Nokia bricks with a fun snake game on it. But no, we didn't have the smartphones to be able to look up, stay in contact with like Facebook. MySpace was around at that time, but I was even terrible at that. I was doing all caps and text messages, and people would be yelling at me like, "Why are you yelling?" And it's like, "What? I thought big letters means that like you see it easier." And then my friends were telling me, "It's like, no, if you do all caps, that means you're screaming at someone." So that was my learning process on there. I'm sure some of the generation still don't know that. You might do an all caps text, and people are going, "Why are you yelling?"
You've seen some of the stuff I do, and you look at me like, "What are you doing here?" So no. There's some about technology and some of the differences in our education. I mean, we grew up with textbooks and memorization, and we believe that, getting a good education, even at that time, it was affordable, and it was a lot of times it was subsidized. We grew up in an environment where we were taught.
And you actually had to go to the library physically, check out books, read them, and find out all information.
Yeah, we had.
And then my generation, they're just telling you don't source Wikipedia because they knew that was all messed up. But that was my teachers telling us students as a kid, because that was a tool we had to go. We have the internet. We can actually go on.
We had a traveling salesman that would go around the world, go around the country, and he would sell encyclopedias. I remember we bought a volume of encyclopedias, and I think, of course, I'd never used it, but we had it there just in case I wanted to learn.
That's actually a sad thing to see. Like, nobody really has an encyclopedia anymore. I do remember growing up and seeing my family's house and my grandparents' houses. There would be just a stack of encyclopedias. Yeah. Yep. You don't see that anymore. They're just gone. They're an ancient relic now.
So
it seems like.
We viewed education as being important. Okay. And there was a time it was important in terms of formal education. Even your employers today. Yeah. I've had employers, as I talk to them throughout my career, is, they say basically the only thing a 4-year degree shows them is that you can stick with something.
Yes.
I mean, that's it. I mean, it's a 4-year degree back sometime was, oh my God, you got ahead of the class today. Okay, you can stick with something, but can you do what I need you to do? So that's a little bit about the education piece of it. Now, let's talk about workplace expectations. I mean, I grew up, and my dad grew up, and especially my dad grew up in an era where you paid your dues. Okay? You paid your dues, loyalty mattered, your career goals with stability, and then a lot of times.
Yeah, you stick with the job and it will be reward you going up that corporate ladder.
Right.
And I stuck with that mentality, but it didn't work for me in my generation. So like I was at Blockbuster Video for 4 years. I was at Starbucks for 5 years. Like I stuck with it because that's what I was told by my dad. And my dad, my biological dad, he was the poor dad versus the rich dad. I always see that with the rich dad, poor dad series. My stepdad was the rich dad, entrepreneur, businessman. My biological father was a poor man, but a smart man, had the education, had a degree, had a solid job career. So I got to see both sides of it. But no, yeah, my dad would always say, like, stick with a job as long as you can. That shows you're loyal to the company.
Yeah, my dad was quite the maverick during that time where everybody was getting the job, sticking with it. I kid you not, my dad probably had, oh my God, I'm not exaggerating. He had probably 30, 40 careers from a police officer to a what was he? A police officer. I'm just thinking of things he did. He started multiple businesses, and if he didn't like them, he'd cut and run and do something else. So, I mean, that's probably where I got my entrepreneur spirit from. So it's really a difference in timing is what it is. And I think back, you and I talked about this briefly before. We knew in the 60s and 70s, inherently we knew something was wrong with the system. We did. We knew something was wrong with it inherently, but there was no way we could prove it. There was no way. There was no way to prove it. I mean, we knew it, but we couldn't prove it. So you move forward to where we are today. You can validate and prove everything today.
Everything's online. It's like kind of hard to people get away with so much stuff anywhere because there's cameras, recordings everywhere. It's like you really can't get away with anything, and everything can just be proven now. It's there.
So to summarize that, the differences, in the 60s and in the 90s, it's technological differences is what it was. That's really what made the differences, is the technology and the differences. And the people that adopted it, adopted and applied it to what they were doing, they succeeded. And the ones that didn't just kind of went by the wayside. I remember my granddad didn't trust the banks. I mean, they didn't. They were smart. They didn't understand why they didn't trust the banks. We did everything in cash. I mean, there was old farmers that they could worth God knows how much money, but they bought everything in cash. So as you look at that in the era, we wanted to believe that the government would look out for us. We wanted to believe that if you got a good job and worked out, everything will work out for you. But inherently, we knew something was wrong. And you take your generation now, you don't believe anything. And I tell people all the time, my oldest son's 43, and I've got three that are in college, 21, 22, 23. And I taught them to question everything from a child. Now, there was many, many times that it was very difficult, especially when they got teenagers, as I taught them to question everything. They questioned everything. They even questioned my authority. That didn't go well for them, but it is boding well for them now as they get older, just to question, why? Except don't question daddy or mama. That's the only thing. So that kind of summarizes that. Let's talk about generational difference between fiat and a digital currency. The thing that I had to learn, and the thing that I want people my age to learn, this thing called digital currency is not new. This thing called the blockchain is not new. And I won't go into all that because I teach little courses on it. But the blockchain is nothing more than a ledger. Ledgers have existed for thousands of years. Okay, that's when back in Egyptian times where the ledger back then was a stone tablet.
Yep.
Chiseled
on it.
Chiseled on it, and the stone tablet was kept in some secure. It might be a church. Mostly, it was churches that were kept in, and that was the banks during the era. And you speed the clock up, and then you go through the whole process of a ledger as we know it in accounting. We're a double entry ledger, and now we're into this thing called the blockchain ledger, which is all out there. It's
public, and it's usually decentralized.
Yes, and it's verifiable. So we'll kind of get in that. In my era, it was pure fiat. It was cash and a checking account. Do you have a checking account, by the way?
I do. I still do.
Do you really?
Yep. I think there's only... Actually, I have both the savings and checkings account. The savings account really only has like $5 or $10 in it. The checking account, I keep no more than $500 in there at a time. If it starts running low, I just move some crypto into the fiat side of it all. But I rather hold on to the crypto because I know that's just going to keep increasing in value. People may worry, though, that it's like, aren't you worried about the volatility about it? It's like, for some reason, it just works out, honestly.
And this whole Bitcoin cryptocurrency, it's not an experiment anymore. 10 years ago, it's probably an experiment. For you folks out there my age, you think it's still an experiment, you better wake up. It's not an experiment. We'll talk some more about that in a minute.
But then also with the difference of this fiat and digital money, like we've been using digital money still too all the time. Like our money's digital. We swipe our cards. It's on the bank's own digital ledger. Not a decentralized one, it's the bank's ledger. So we're already using digital money. Our money's digital, and that's what the younger generation really uses. We don't have bank accounts. We have Cash App. We have Venmo. We have PayPal. We utilize these tools to move money around.
So I'm going to ask you a question. You may have heard me speak, or you know the answer this. When was the inception of digital currency? Do you have a clue? Think about it. Just currency. the year, or the what year do you think digital currency was conceived and started?
I would say in the early 2000s, because I remember opening up my first bank account. I even have this little book where you keep track of it. You don't have an app. You can't go online. You got to go to the bank to it. But then it really wasn't until truly the internet came out. So like 2000, 2003, everyone has a computer in their house. They got the dial up with that annoying sound coming on if you pick up the phone. So once that time came around, I feel then that's when true digital currency came, because then you had some websites with the bank. Oh, log into your bank account, do all your payments, savings, manage your money at home now. So
is it okay if I tell you you're wrong and I can prove it?
Okay.
Digital currency started in 1957 with something called the Diners Club. Okay, that's when it started. People don't realize this. I didn't realize this. I got into it. So it's nothing new. And then in the early 60s, the banks realized, wait a minute, we're going to issue something called a credit card.
Mm-hmm.
And the credit card was to do one reason. So you're not moving cash. You keep cash in your pocket. So you didn't mentally have to think about it.
Mm-hmm.
So that was an era where people started financing food, pizzas. What do you mean financing pizzas? Let me tell you something.
Swipe their credit
If
card.
you swipe a credit card and you buy a $10 Papa John's pizza and you don't pay that at the end of the month, you just finance that pizza. So this whole digital currency is nothing new. We just think it is.
And it's exactly the same thing. So I remember that the news skit where it was they're going to Burger King because Burger King just started accepting credit cards, and they were interviewing all the people there. And some are like going, "Oh, if you got to finance a burger at Burger King, you're crazy." And then you got people going, "Oh, I hope it doesn't slow down the process of me getting my food because I want it fast."
Mm-hmm.
And people kind of feel the same way with Bitcoin and blockchain because it's like, "Oh, the blockchain's 10 minutes. I hope this doesn't slow down the process," but it's improved. You got Lightning Network to make it instantaneous. But again, same questions, same worries, like going from the cash to the credit card. They're worried about slow times, what hinder or interfere with my daily life or routine and all. Now with Bitcoin and crypto too, it's like, is it going to interfere with my daily life? They're just worried about those things.
Yeah, no, it's not going to interfere. It's going to simplify your daily life.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the way you're able to use it now. So a little bit about that. Another thing I was going to talk about was our mindset when it comes to what we trust and what we believe in. So,
oh man, we're gonna go through that much because we grew up in the day of or now with me growing up, we got to question everything because everything like in my generation has all been fake. We have filters now, cat ears, dog ears on your Snapchat filter, fake posts online that's getting shoved on there.
It was fake during my era, but we didn't realize it. I mean, think about what we used to think is, what backed the dollar. Well, we said the government, central banks. We thought it did. In fact, that's what the LIBERY told. As crypto began to get adopted, we were told crypto was risky. I mean, I'm always, when I talk about this, Jerome Powell made a statement back about 12 years ago, and he simply said, "This was J.P. Morgan said, hey, anybody that's involved in Bitcoin is either a criminal, a drug dealer, or they live in North Korea." Now, what we didn't know during this time, again, we were told one thing, they were doing something else. We didn't know within 6 months they were already beginning to accumulate this digital currency.
We didn't know it, but that's what they were doing. So again, as we saw it talked yesterday, do as they do, not as they say, because they will steer in the wrong way to benefit themselves.
If you ask me back in the 70s and 80s, do I trust the feds? Inherently, I didn't, but I didn't have. What's the alternative? Do you follow me?
Yeah.
What's your alternative? You can't move your money to Cuba because or any of these other countries because we were told they were bad. The narrative that was being spent. No, you got to stay here. Well, we know that was a crock. You guys, you don't trust in anything. Let me tell you what y'all trust in. I want to get into that a little bit more because I want people to understand this. You guys trust in the code, and I want to get to that in a minute. And we'll talk about the code. So, my era trusted the government. Even though we were not quite sure. It was kind of like that radio. It was out of tune. I mean, we knew the station 101.1, but it was out of tune. We knew something was not right there, but we couldn't tune it in. Your generation, hyper, you hit the button, it goes right to the station you wanted to go to. So you're hyper in terms of tuning into truth. So what else about
it? Gets again, it's going on to like why we don't trust everything because everything's fake and everything. But also the difference is, again, like with these phones, we get blasted. Our generations live on these devices, so it's like it gets blasted to us 24/7. It's like that comedian I was showing you yesterday when people were like, the old generation, like going, "How do you know that's not real?" It's like I've seen so much stuff like throughout my time in history that my brain just naturally filters it out now. Where it's like I can't teach you that unless you soaked up all the information. Your brain can do it on its own. But like when I see something, it just automatically filters like that's a scam, that's fake, that's not real. No, Bigfoot isn't shopping at Whole Foods.
But isn't it amazing? I've watched people come in here that have gotten scammed off something off the internet. That person they can't see, They come in and question you. Is this real? Is what you're telling me? This is a scam? Yes. And I'm thinking, I'm sitting there listening. I'm like, wait a minute. You just gave somebody $10,000. You're not going to get it back. This guy's telling you not to put another $200. If you give another $200, I'll give you $10,000. You're saying, look, don't chase good money, bad money with good money. But it's amazing how our minds work is especially, and I do find it more in my generation. The people that question, is this real or not? They don't want to believe. They don't want to believe this thing called evil when it comes to what's going on out here. Mm-hmm. You're like, I've seen you say, hey, this is a scam. Are you sure? This is a scam. How do you know? You don't have time or the energy to go. I mean, think about it. When they go to the doctor says you do so, they don't question that.
No.
They don't question, okay, whatever you want me to do, take this pill, and even though it's going to have 50 side effects, they don't even question it. Mm-mm. But because you don't have the title, and there's no really titles to what we do, mm-hmm. they want to question everything. Mm-hmm. So I think that's, I think it's important. We have to question everything, but we got to, just like you said before, everything y'all were told, everything we were told in the last 20 or 30 years, unless it could be verified, was not true.
Mm-hmm. It wasn't. That's why whoever like created the blockchain or starts the blockchain, who controls it, is like control the history and the data for what gets put on there. So that's why it's important to keep it decentralized, not centralized, because decentralized entities can be filled with bad actors, and what they put in will dictate what goes on 100 years from now, because it's on the chain, it's on the code.
That brings up another point. You guys hear the comments about stable coins. I don't know what you think about it. Here's what I think about it as I've learned this stuff. Stable coin is nothing more than a way to centralize our money again. It's a way the powers have looked at, okay, we can't win this in decentralization, the authorities. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a stable coin tied to whatever it's tied to. Because here's the thing. The majority of the money is held by people my age and older, okay? And we still have that mindset, wait a minute, they might be telling the truth. They might really want to tell the truth. So what we have to do is we have to wake up as a generation and say, wait a minute, we know something is wrong. Now we've been proved it was wrong. So what is the alternative? Is it break time?
It is, but I just want to go into that. Yeah, it is about break time, about... I was just I know what I was going to talk about afterwards, but I always get blanked out right there.
That's all right.
I was talking about, that's what it was. I want we can go into it after the break and talk about how all the older generation guys, they have all the money, but the younger generation doesn't. So it's important why we both need to be in the chain itself. Absolutely. And this is how it will help your generation of wealth, because your kids don't have the money to invest in a Bitcoin. They do have the time to learn about it in cryptocurrencies, but that's where the older generation come in to help out their kids, their grandchildren, because this could benefit them just eons going on.
And it's going to. Mm-hmm. If you understand one thing, you have the ability to change your family's generationally wealth. Mm-hmm. If you lock this stuff up, you write a smart contract, they can't take the principal, as we call it. Mm-hmm. This thing called Bitcoin will pay to God knows how many generations.
Exactly. It just feels like it's going to keep going on forever, but we'll talk about it more right after this break.
Attention visionaries and pioneers, the future of wealth is here, and it's spelled Bitcoin, Bitcoin. Introducing the exclusive Loans for Bitcoin program at the Bitcoin Ben Crypto Club, where your good credit unlocks 0% interest loans for up to 2 years, or term loans up to $250,000 spread over 7 to 12 years. Why wait? Use this capital to acquire the world's fastest appreciating asset, Bitcoin. With prices hovering around $94,000 and projections aiming much higher by the year's end, the time to act is now. Leverage isn't just for Wall Street anymore. Arbitrage the low cost of your loan against Bitcoin's explosive growth. It's smart finance for the modern investor. And privacy matters. Our no KYC Bitcoin purchase program ensures you buy and self-custody your assets in your own wallet. Your keys, your Bitcoin, your future. And as the world shifts to digital currencies, be ahead of the curve. Front-run corporations, governments, in this greatest financial revolution of our times. I'm Jay Bose, CEO of Bitcoin Ben Crypto Club. Call or text us today at 941-413-6920 and get started on that loan application. Secure your legacy. You will thank yourself tomorrow.
And we're back, guys. For those just tuning in, me and Nathan here are talking about the generational gap between like both our generations, why both of us, both sides need to get into Bitcoin blockchain, but we need to understand the differences from where we're at.
Yeah. And the thing that I had, and again, this process is really over the last 2 years. I want to talk more about this thing called Bitcoin and why it's immutable, why it won't change, and while the younger and older generation do this. You think about nature. Everything in nature follows a pre-coded blueprint from its inception. But look at nature. What do I mean by that? If I plant a tomato seed in the ground, because of the code in this tomato seed, it's not surprising when it comes up, it's going to produce tomatoes. It's not going to produce carrots or peppers or whatever like this. So when you look about nature, there's immutable laws. The law of gravity. Think about gravity. If you think about it, it doesn't matter whether I know about it, whether I like it, or I agree with it. It doesn't matter.
It's here. It's there.
If I get on top of a building and I step off, I'm coming to the ground. Why? It's an immutable law. It's in the code of gravity. I want to talk about the code, because I could not understand, because you guys were saying, oh, it's in the code. It's going to go up. It has to go up. Am I right in saying Bitcoin is it's like a nature. It's a code. It's predetermined blueprint from an exception. Here's what's going to go up, and we can't change that. So talk a little bit about that before we get into why we have to encourage the people that have the money to partner with the younger crowd and their future families in terms of this thing called creating and sustaining wealth.
Well, the code itself, or Bitcoin itself, runs on a SHA-256 algorithm. And how do I can break that part even easier? It's just a way to make it's just the program itself, which is you can't make changes in the chain itself. You make one subtle change in there, it changes all the blocks after that. So that's just how the code really works. It prevents those changes, or prevents hackers go in there and make those changes. So it's secure that way. And then just not by the code itself, you need the requirements of people and miners to actually have a machine, hook it up, run that algorithm on their computer to mine new Bitcoin as they verify all the transactions on there. So it's just one of those stepping stools that's how the code works. It's like, we're not sure we need the person in there to be able to set up the computer, but once the computer is running, it's done. It's set. The only person that needs to maintain that still online or live. But if we have a system out there where it's like machines are keeping the machines on, it's like, then it really is a truly decentralized at that point. Because now we're just running.
So let me repeat what I heard you say the way I can understand it. Just like a tomato plant, a tomato seed. If I plant that seed, there's nothing, not yet, that we have in technology that can alter what's going to occur.
You can have hard forks, and this is where it gets technical, understanding technology. You can have hard forks, make a change, in the code if you don't like it. Kind of like with the plant, you can mix in, do genetic code and splice that tomato with it's a fruit, with let's say banana, and then that produces a seed, because you got the parent of one plant and the father or whatever of the other plant, and it creates this new one. So now that would kind of be the fork, but you still have tomato seeds out there, and that's when people may I just still want the tomato. That's what I'm going to do. I don't want this nasty tomato banana looking thing. So kind of like Bitcoin versus Bitcoin Cash.
Again, that scares me what you're saying. Call a fork. Okay. Can any one person say, I want to change the code?
any person can, but then you would need all those miners out there to change their code with it. And so we kind of seen this happen with Ethereum and their token and blockchain, because it switched from a proof of work consensus mechanism like Bitcoin is, where it takes miners to run it. It switched over to a proof of stake consensus mechanism, now requiring people to lock up tokens of Ethereum to serve its same purpose of validating blockchain transactions. It's a requirement of that smart contract. So it's like there was a fork in that way. Some people didn't like that, so they just kept mining the original Ethereum and its code, and they called that one Ethereum Classic. While the new Ethereum that we use, everything that forked off of the original chain, its proof of stake, is the Ethereum we use nowadays. So there's two people still mining and securing the ETH Classic, but we also have a ton of people who just chose to adopt that one furthermore.
I want to talk specifically about Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
So can any one person change the direction of Bitcoin?
Not one person, no.
It would take almost
that one person would need to be able to change the mind of every single miner, a person who's mining, the entire community of node runners out there. They would have to change everybody's mind, and then that's just to do a hard fork on chain to create a new Bitcoin, be Bitcoin 2 or whatever, and then that would be the new one going. But some people will not want that, so they'll just continue on Bitcoin. So this one will just still go. Maybe there'll be 100 people utilizing it still around, but the majority of people still just stick with Bitcoin.
So the reason I'm asking this question, you've got corporations, you've got people like Michael Saylor there buying tons of Bitcoin because they own the majority interest of Bitcoin, that asset. Do they have the power?
No.
Okay, that's important.
A company can acquire, or a government can acquire as much Bitcoin as they want, but they still cannot add more liquidity or more tokens to it. Bitcoin's hard cap at 21 million. If they did want more of it, they had to produce a change in the code, which would go to the miners and validators out there to accept it. And then it's a whole process. I remember I covered an article last week, breaking down the steps on why it's physically impossible for even just a large owner of the coin still can't change the code or aspect of it.
So truly, when you talk, we the people are in charge.
Mm-hmm. That was the thing how I saw money, and I think Robert Kiyosaki even pointed that out. Precious metals out there, gold, silver, platinum, that was God money. It was here before us people and everything. It was just here on the earth. And then we have fiat money, the US dollar and all that stuff. That is government money, because they're the ones who printed it. They're the ones who created it. They're the ones who give it its value of this is $1 is $1. But with Bitcoin, it's the people's money. We dictate on what its value is because we use it.
Yeah, I was thinking I saw this article. I mean, we grew up thinking if you own gold was valuable because of the perception of its scarcity. But I saw the other day that China, they discovered a vein of gold or a mine of gold, whatever it is, billions and billions and billions of dollars. So it's not scarce. It may be hard to get. I mean, I think Elon Musk said that there's some things floating out here in space that has more gold than we ever discover here. We just got to figure out how to get it. So it's not really scarce. So one of the values in Bitcoin is the scarcity. As you said, they can't mine. They can only mine a certain amount. They're not going to discover a planet in the world that's going to have more Bitcoin in it.
And it's going to be very, very scarce too. That's going to be my first article of my show I'm going to cover at noon today. But it's just over the counters and exchanges are running dry right now, and that's where the Bitcoin's price is really going to uncork, because the guys like Strategy out there, they're buying from over the counters, but it's draining. We're seeing numbers of just all-time lows happen. Once you can't get it, once they drain the exchanges and the over the counters, that's when Bitcoin's price is really just going to go up, because you can't get it. People are still going to want it, and then they'll do and these higher up guys are still going to want it, and they'll do whatever it takes. They'll pay premiums on whoever has it. So that's why you still want to just hold on to it as long as you can, because when you get to that point, you actually have leverage. You're in control of that Bitcoin. They can't just take it from you. It's not just sitting in your bank. It's in your possessions. They would have to come to you to strike a deal, and you'll be like, I'm not getting rid of this. I'm going to borrow. I'll loan it to you.
So there's one of the differences. There's one of the differences of when you think about when they confiscated gold in the United States. I mean, what idiots we are to even allow that. The thing I see is we look at the Bitcoin code, I'll call it, is it equals unbreakable trust. I mean, as I said, no one can print more Bitcoin. They can't freeze your Bitcoin, and no one can rewrite and alter the code at will.
Mm-hmm.
You explained that a minute. You did explain that a little bit.
Yeah,
so.
it was because like also like money and revenue has to do with like the value of it. Like they're not going to change the code because with all the guys who are still like holding a lot of Bitcoin, some of them are also miners out there securing the network. It doesn't incentivize them to increase the token amount because then that would just lower their value of money when it gets created because you're just diluting the supply of it, creating more of it, lowering its actual value. So there's no incentive to mine more of it. You can break Bitcoin apart already to 100 million, so you don't need to make more of it. Like they'll still get down to the little guys and whoever doesn't have any Bitcoin when the time comes because it can be broken apart to one Satoshi's value, which is again 100 millionth of a Bitcoin.
Wow. So, yeah, that's another course I got to take from you about that whole process. But talk about really quickly about the code and the scarcity and why it is in the code and why Bitcoin has historically gone up 50% a year, while in the halving and why it must continue to do that. Because I didn't understand that, and I don't think people my age understand why it has to go up. It's in the code. It's like you're gonna plant tomatoes, you're gonna get tomato seeds, you're gonna get tomatoes. So
it's because with the distribution fact of Bitcoin and everything, when Bitcoin first started back in 2009, there was 0 Bitcoin out there in the world. But then the first miner who solved that first block on the Bitcoin blockchain received 50 Bitcoin. Now that was the reward for validating transaction and verifying that block. That's how it all started. And then in the code is, in Bitcoin's code is every 210,000 blocks on chain is a halving event or occur where they'll cut the token distribution in half. So roughly around every 4 years is that 210,000 blocks time. We see a halving where the amount of Bitcoin being distributed was 50, went down to 25, went from 25 to 12 and a half, 12 and a half to 6.25, and then from 6.25 to 3.125, which is today's current distribution. So the supply of it is just like getting cut in half. And it's just typical business economics, supply versus demand. And like we know the supply of Bitcoin, how much there is out there. We know how much is getting distributed. But demand just has been skyrocketing year after year, and that's why we're seeing it. So again, if the demand's still high, but the supply is going lower, that just causes the price to go up.
So last thing about code, I want people to understand at my age and older, Bitcoin is borderless, which means you don't need a passport. It's always on, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need a bank. You don't need to go in and beg the bank to give you money that you already own. It's permissionless, which means you don't have to have ID, no credit checks. You don't need a bank to access it, and it's totally transparent. One thing I want you to talk about real quickly as we get away from the code is the value of being transparent and everybody being able to see a transaction. Now, maybe they don't know who made the transaction, but the value of being transparent with this thing called Bitcoin.
Let's see, who had the good explanation about it? It's kind of just like by being transparent is huge because then no one can lie anymore. They can't hide information. It's all public. And so like a good example to make it simple is take Monopoly for an example. Like imagine if that ran on a blockchain. So we started the game, me and you. I rolled a 6. I went over. You rolled. I bought a house, and then we transacted that on the blockchain. We just wrote it on a piece of paper, put it down. But every time we go around the board and collect $200, that's considered one block's time. So by all that time, we see all the transactions go through. We continue playing the game. 4 or 5 loops go around, and then you go, wait a minute, sure, but you didn't pay me for that house that you landed on 2 moves ago. It's like, oh, let me check our receipts right here. Nope, see, I paid you for that on this time. That's the public transaction of the blockchain. Like there's this proven, it's there. You can't hide the transaction. No, I did that. So that's the value about just having this code and just being public. There's no more hidden fees or just people hiding stuff around. It's there to see for everybody.
And I think that is the biggest fear that the government and power control has is they can't hide the transactions anymore.
So now we can see where the money's flowing, where it's going to, and like, yeah, they can't hide for all their bad activities. Because we said, like in the beginning, like we knew they were doing something bad, but we couldn't just prove it. We didn't know anything. Now with the blockchain and the code, you can if everything's transparent.
All right, let's move over to this whole thing, young versus older. older has the money. I can tell you, we have more money than young people do. Obviously, the crazy thing about it is now, I mean, I grew up in an area where you worked 30, 40 years. You did everything right, and you had some form of retirement. And what really took me by surprise, I remember in about 4 years ago, I was invited to an NFT NYC NFT. It was a
NFT NYC conference
up in to speak up there to a group. Speak up there, and it was based off how I thought this whole world of the NFTs and cryptocurrency was going to change. Has already begun to change ours. So I walk into this, they call it the green room. I'm one of the speakers, and there was 20 other plus speakers in there. These were kids. I'm 50, whatever I was at the time, 58 or 59. So I'm old enough to be most of these kids' granddad. And we start talking, and I'd seen some of them on the internet, didn't really understand it. And they're talking to me. And I'm like, so what do you do? Well, I do crypto, blah, 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 blah. Basically, I don't know. How's that working out for you? Well, that's pretty good. The crazy fact of the matter was, these young people, these kids at 19, 20, 21 years old were already multi-millionaires. And I could not, wait a minute. What drug are y'all selling? I still couldn't get it. So with the exception of those type of people, early adopters to understand that, the 20 years old and 19 years old, I use my kids, for example, right now, they know what to do. They just don't have any money. So talk to us about that, our responsibility. And we have a moral obligation. I feel like a moral obligation to society to explain to them, here's your lifeboat, here's the reason you want to do it, and be able to, in some form, prove it to them. But me as a father and a granddad, what I begin to recognize even more is and begin to internalize, I don't know what's going to take my kids and grandkids to live in the future. Here's what I do know based off what I have learned. I think if I left my kids, let's just say I left them all $100,000, and God lets me live another 30 years, based off inflation and everything, what's that $100,000 going to be worth? It might buy them a Yugo, old car, whatever. But I realize if I somehow can establish a wallet for these kids and these grandkids and put $10,000 in it and forget about it, in 30 or 40 years, when they open that box up, my God, what will it be worth to them? So for me as a father, as a granddad, I have that obligation. Now I know what I know to go out there. And I think about my legacy right now. I mean, obviously, I don't know if I'll be able to look down from heaven and see what's going on. Maybe I do, maybe I don't, whatever that looks like. But here's what I can tell you. I can imagine in the future seeing my grandkids and my family gather and say, my God, thank God Granddaddy Kirby saw this at 60 years old, or 64 I am now, and was able to foresee that and almost tell a future. It's almost like a fortune teller that really knows the future. And I'm telling you, people my age, I'm telling you as a fortune teller, this is going to happen. You can argue with it. You can not like it. Don't have to trust it. You don't have to believe it. But it's like gravity. This is an immutable law in this thing called Bitcoin. Doesn't matter whether you know about it, like it, or agree with it. It's going to happen. It's happening. It's going to happen. It's happening. And this is not an experiment, folks. It's not an experiment. And you don't need to put up $10,000 for each family member. If you did $1,000 based off of the progress of this thing. So talk to us about you as a younger generation. Obviously, you adopted Bitcoin a long time ago. So this doesn't really pertain to you, but it pertains to your generation and the younger generation.
It pertains to me more of my generation not wanting to invest in something because we worked so hard. Because I didn't start investing until like 2019, 2020. That was the start of my crypto journey. So I didn't start investing in stocks until that time, which was only for 2 weeks before I moved on to the crypto. But the thing was, like, for my feeling of that, it's like I worked so hard for my money, paycheck to paycheck. It's like, this is a risk. I feel like people lose money. Like, that's what the younger generation's mindset is. They think they're going to lose their money by putting it in here.
Wow. That
stops them from making that
brings
investment.
up a point to my kids are in college right now. Obviously, my oldest son he's done well with what he does. But I have one of my sons I was talking to me the other day, and we were talking. I said, listen, why are you not involved in investing in something? He said, I don't believe in it. I said, what do you mean you don't believe in it? He said, Dad, I watched you as a little boy. I watched you in the real estate world. I watched you accumulate over 150 rental properties. You did nothing wrong. You were less than 40% loan to value on everything. And I watched it as a little boy. That empire, he called it, crumble. You couldn't do anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought about that. He's right. The fear of what he saw us go through is holding him back. So I think I mentioned the other day, that's why all my kids now, they know it. They don't know what's in it. All of them got a wallet. All my grandkids have got a wallet. They don't know what's in it. But I can tell you, the way I've got my stuff set up is when I die, they're not going to be distributed. The life insurance is going to be distributed in these wallets in this thing called Bitcoin, because I understand what's going on. I understand I can't trust the fiat. They can't trust the fiat. The only thing we can trust is Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm. And it's the tool you're used to escape the traditional system. So that way you have to worry about them, worrying about what the world's going to be like at that time.
Say that again. I want you to say I want to be clear what you just said. It's the tool what?
To escape the traditional system we live in right now. That was like a big point in my class we did on Bitcoin for the average Joe. Why do you need it? And like it just emphasized on it's a tool you can use. So it's not going to be that investment just to gain you lots of money and wealth. It's a tool to escape the system that we've been burdened on for so long in our lives. So like just knowing that like you're giving them that tool for when they do finally open it, they don't have to, like whatever the world looks at that time, they have the tool to not have to be in that world if they don't want to. Like they can still like utilize it, be a part of it, do it all, but they don't have to. They don't have to work at their entire every single day, 18 hours a day just to survive, put one meal on the table. Because like who knows what our world's going to look like in the future.
I agree. I mean, it reminds me of we may be missing the mark in some parts of this whole fiat cryptocurrency, but in my mind, when I see what I'm doing for them, it's kind of like when you walk down a hallway or in a stairway and it says, in case of emergency, break glass. That is what this is for these kids. I want them to get to a point where in their life, if there's an emergency, financial emergency, they break this glass and they've got something, that tool, as you call it, to fight what's going on out there.
And this in those rules, though, when they get it, you got to emphasize them, because it depends if they learned about it or not at the time. The number one rule is never sell your Bitcoin. That's what my dad taught me. And that's why I want to like actually go to like that for like, what can we do? Like, how do we work together? Like say, like you have kids or whatever, they don't got the money to invest. You have the money to invest for them, but they need to invest into the knowledge of learning about it. Because then that way they know the rules for when they get it, how to use it.
What you just said. Because I told all my kids, and I will tell my grandkids this, hey, there's going to be something there for you to utilize. But the only way you're going to get access to it is if I know that you know what the heck you're doing.
Mm-hmm. That is kind of like the rules with my family and my sister and all the rules, like how we're doing like our crypto holdings. It's just like, okay, Paulie, you're in charge of it. And like, it's just like you have the say on like, if Bella wants to do this, take some money out to invest in her next, what is she doing now? She's a movie creator. She's doing something in the film industry. Like she needs money to make a film or whatever. I would have to approve it in order to say, is this logical? Is it going to make money? Like, how do we do this? Or I'll say, if we do this, we got to do it this way, where we're a bar against it. Here's your funds for it. If it makes a revenue, you pay it back then, and then we still keep the Bitcoin. But in the end, so we're still going to pay that loan off because we're never getting rid of that.
So
Bitcoin.
It goes back to that immutable code. Here's the code. If this happens, that happens. I remember the conversation I had 3 weeks ago with my kids over here, and I was talking about what we were going to do, what the future looked like. And one of my sons says, well, Dad, what if you die tomorrow? When will I have access to money? I said, probably when you're 50. He said, that's not fair. I said, it's my money. I get to choose what's fair. It's in the code. This is what code I have adopted. So it's kind of funny. he called me later and said, you're right. You're right. I said, no, I don't want y'all to think, oh my God, I'm going to be rich when my dad dies. Because you'd be hoping I die.
Yep.
No, it could be. So I'm like, yeah, I might wake up with some mysterious disease. But no, I think we got to understand as parents, it is our money. We're in control, and we're going to do the very best we can do. And we're going to leave a legacy. That's so important. I tell people all the time, when I went through the cancer scare in 2017, the things that come to your mind is, after you get through the initial shock of, wait a minute, what is my legacy going to be? What if I have $1 million worth of life insurance? Okay, I left $1 million. To what? It's going to erode and be gone away. But now I know with Bitcoin, as I begin to build a legacy around Bitcoin, and I want you guys to understand this as parents and grandparents, you have the ability to build legacy in your life and your family's life with this thing called Bitcoin. I hope we have given you enough evidence to prove that you need to be involved. You need to have your kids involved. You need to have your family involved in this journey out here. And you got a reason to. I mean, this gives me talking points to my kids now, and a different connection than just talking about the weather.
I know. Those are fun conversations.
But I watch how you operate with your family. I'm like, wow, this whole Bitcoin is a way to manage your family, to keep them together. So,
because if your family's not good financially responsible, you want to be sure they know how to balance not a checkbook, but just like a financial report.
Right.
Like, do they know what their assets and liabilities are that they're holding?
Right.
Do they know how much money is going out every month? Because I remember before, I was investing, I wasn't keeping track of that. I just knew money was coming in my account from what I worked. Somehow I'd make it to the next paycheck without worrying anything, but I wasn't paying attention truly. It's like, okay, $20 went to this streaming service, $100 went to my phone bill, this went to rent. I wasn't keeping track of that at all. And so we really need to teach the generation to start keeping track of your own fundings. Where is your money going? Because that can even help you with savings, and also just help with excess spending that you don't need. And then you can use that extra money to invest fine, because you've been so worried about I don't have the money, I could lose all my money. Do you really know where your money's even going? So you want to understand.
So you use the word start, and that's the key here, folks. Start. You don't have to put $10,000 in this thing. Just start. Start something for your family. Start something for your kids, grandkids. Start something for a foundation, and you can know without a doubt you're going to plant a tomato seed and you're going to get tomatoes. I tell people all the time, I don't plant trees today for a house I'm going to build, because it takes years for a house to grow. I mean, a tree to grow. I'm planting seeds for trees right now for future generations, so they'll have shade, so they'll have comfort.
Yep. That's what you're doing, and that's what everyone should be doing. So, yeah, we made it, guys. Everyone's loving the show. Thank you, Rhonda, for enjoying the show. Bobby, Satoshi, James, everyone for tuning in. Is there any other things you want to chime in about before we close out?
No, I just forget that what comments we're having. Yeah, I forget these comments are coming in.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if Ben saw our ratings on last thing and they're better than his, and he wanted. No, I'm kidding.
Ben's driving. He'll be here soon. He's probably going 80 with a cigarette in mouth, Red Bull in one hand, coffee injected in his arm.
So it is true that he has a bag with coffee, caffeine going right into a vein. Is that true?
I think so.
I heard.
It's not an edema.
Well, Shepard, it's been a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure, Nathan. I always love these shows that we get to do together. Just fireside chats, and we just have great conversations. I always love that.
We do. And we do this we do some form of this every day. You guys y'all don't get to hear it or see it, but we have a great relationship, and we have just these chats. So I enjoy them. It's good to bring them to y'all.
Exactly. If you want to be a part, come to the club. Come hang out here. Bring a friend. Let's fill these clubs up where it's kind of like a party here, but let's fill these clubs up so people, when they see outside, the front doors, or the parking lots are packed in all of our clubs, they go, what's going on in there? Invite them, just come in here, and then you can be a part of these great conversations.
So let's let everybody remember, you have the ability to bring in a guest free of charge, not the same guest, but you can bring a guest in every day if you want to. Bring them in. They get a chance to see what we're doing. If they like it, they can join. If they don't, bring in another guest. So guys, that's how you can help us is this whole support. And you're on the crusade, and how you can help us is come here, volunteer for some time, or even bring somebody so you can see what's happening.
Just hang out. That's a great way to help. And if you guys want more information on all of our programs and clubs, go to bitcoinben.io, and we have all information there. Our clubs, our programs, a little chat bot. You can give us a message if you want more information on it, but go there to get some more information. But again, thank you everyone for tuning in. And Ben, wait, is Dr. J doing the show tomorrow, or is Ben going to pop on with him, do you think?
I have no clue.
So tomorrow's going to be a surprise. So enjoy it, guys. Take care, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye-bye.
Tired of jumping through hoops to buy Bitcoin? Frustrated with endless paperwork and invasive identity checks? Introducing Bitcoin Ben Crypto Club's loan program. No KYC required. Say goodbye to the hassle and hello to freedom. Borrow up to $250,000 at as little as 7% interest. Join our community and take control of your financial future. Bitcoin Ben Crypto Club, where privacy meets opportunity. Connect with like-minded individuals and grow together. Visit us today and unlock your $250,000 Bitcoin loan. Your journey to financial freedom starts here.